Hello and welcome to Team Sustainability's final group presentation for Sustainable World Spring 2016 class. Team Sustainability is made up of 4 members: myself, Kathleen Nealon, Christina Hinson, Todd Kemper, and David Parker. We're spread out amongst the states of California, Colorado, and Arizona. So our group focused our research on the complex issue of obesity in America. The current state of American obesity is that while we have only 6% of the world's population, we are responsible for 34% of the world's biomass because of this alarming obesity. So, obesity's complexity is shown that it fits into 6 criteria of a wicked problem. The first of the 6 criteria is that it has a vague definition. Sure, there's a scientific way to calculate obesity in an individual, but there's very many different opinions on what it actually means to be obese. Second, there's no defined solution. We really can't pinpoint one thing that's causing this problem, and even if we could, there's no way to indefinitely solve the issue just by saying, do this or don't do that. Third, there's not an endpoint to obesity. Fourth, obesity is a unique problem. Fifth, it's irreversible. So any solution to the issue will just create issues elsewhere. And this is what makes it fit into the 6th characteristic, being that obesity is urgent. So in analyzing how obesity in America is a wicked problem, we were able to identify the wide range of stakeholders in the issue. So the main 4 that we came up with is obese citizens, all other citizens, food production and food sales industries, and future generations. So essentially, obesity affects every single individual in America, whether they themselves are obese or not. So the actions that have caused this widespread issue is increased food consumption of unhealthy, calorie-rich food. America has become a country of convenience and speed, and we can see that through our consumption of fast food and fast snacks. It's become too easy to go through a drive-thru and order a quick meal, and it's shaping our habits and therefore shaping our waistlines. So Team Sustainability decided to delve farther into this by looking at our country's food production and how it's impacting our environment. A big talking point in sustainability is the excess nitrogen in agricultural runoff waters. So this nitrogen-rich runoff is making its way into America's lakes, streams, oceans, any water source, and it's causing massive dead zones. Nitrogen is naturally cycling in our ecosystem, but with human intervention, there is additional nitrogen in particularly fertilizers, and it's causing a buildup in our water, which in turn causes eutrophication and dead zones. So through this research, Team Sustainability is able to show that obesity is more than just an individual being overweight. The problem really does reach much further than that. We've evolved our eating habits into that of excess,
laziness, and low income. And some of these direct drivers also have indirect drivers that even exacerbate those situations. I guess for example, overeating, some of the indirect drivers related to those are the advertisements on TV, the size of portions that are served, mindless eating, and even emotional eating. Some stress can trigger people to eat more. And some of the indirect drivers related to lack of exercise are laziness, some technology that allows you to be entertained without even to move around much. Even proximity to a gym or other recreation areas also limits the ability to get easy exercise. Even just constraints on time. And then for laziness, fast food, it's easy calories, cheap calories. People not cooking at home due to working too much, or just the fact that they are lazy or become trained to be lazy. And there's so many easy snack options. There's more snack options in grocery stores than there are healthy food. Also the time it takes to wash vegetables. It's a small piece of it, but it definitely does have an impact compared to just opening a package. Low income also has indirect drivers. The food is generally more expensive than high preserved foods that can last on the shelf for a long time amounts of time. Memberships to gyms cost money. Learning about nutrition also even costs money, and people are even spending more time at their jobs, so they don't they don't have a lot more time to make more money. But we included this causal chain diagram that kind of shows how all these different indirect drivers push to the direct drivers, and how they even push the obesity epidemic even worse. And as you see in the other presentation pieces, that what obesity does to the sustainability of the three pillars. But as far as the issue with obesity, these drivers are they directly impact and make it even worse. And so when we talk about those impacts, we identify many measures that can show how bad it is, how bad it's going to be, or how bad it has been, or even if it's getting better. Some of those are just the cost of medical insurance related to obesity, and it's showing that definitely is an impact, and it's increasing. There's carbon fuel emissions fueled by obesity. That's people driving in cars even more. There's even emissions from farms, and that also increasing, and that can be measured, and it continues to increase. And then so even just related to sick leave, that's productivity for businesses. How the cost there is even increasing drastically. It's even higher than if you just relate it to insurance costs not related to obesity. And then, so there's also a percentage of the youth that are in a state where they have parks around the neighborhood, easy places to go play. They're not stuck inside, and we're showing that is actually they're actually increasing that has been going up. So that could have a positive impact. And then obesity over time, we're also showing is increasing. Just high school students that show up to high school already obese, and that is on its way up. As far as a qualitative impact. What we read about is that pediatricians have issues. They have a hard time trying to get parents to be involved for their kids' issues with obesity, or even bringing that topic up. They end up getting negative reviews from parents, and it solely is in their area of impact. The doctors can only recommend. They can't pick the foods that the children eat. Thank you very much.
And where do we want to go? Because at this point, we can collectively take action and make changes to decrease obesity and lessen our strain on the environment, or we can do nothing, make no changes, and let the degrading environment continue. The outcome is dependent on the choices and behaviors of consumers. In a positive scenario, consumers will make sustainable purchases such as buying locally, organically, and conservatively, and this will have social benefits of healthier people and less obesity-related illnesses. The economy also benefits as jobs in sustainable food industries will be created, and political institutions will eventually follow the trend as profits shift from multi-million-dollar food corporations that supply high-calorie meals to more sustainable food production. The environment will also see benefits as nitrogen from improper farming practices and fertilizers will decrease. In a negative scenario, consumers will stay the same, so we'll face all the same issues socially, economically, and environmentally that we face now with obesity. Another issue is that as underdeveloped nations are becoming more affluent, they too are going to add to the world's biomass. We researched obesity at a national spatial scale, but with other nations developing, it's quickly going to become an international issue. The indicators that we chose to measure which direction we're headed in are the percentage of obese people in the nation, metric tons of greenhouse gases emitted from agriculture, and fast food industry's profitability, which is public information. For example, we found that in 2014, McDonald's made $27,441,000 in total revenue provided on their website from their annual report. Imagine if just a tiny portion of that money instead went to more sustainable food production. For future visioning and where do we want to go, we found two existing visions. One of which is the Surgeon General, who has a call to action to prevent decreased obesity, and their main goal is to promote increased daily activity and physical education. The second was the Climate Change Connection organization's vision, which focuses on sustainable consumption and buying behavior, as well as incorporating more cradle-to-cradle product cycling. As part of our future visioning, we also created a 25-year vision in which we hope to see consumers demanding sustainable foods and buying smart, which means taking the time to check the labeling, the ingredients, and the origin of the foods we're purchasing, and avoiding greenwashing. We also hope to see more action from our government, such as government-funded physical and nutritional education, food labeling requirements, healthy lifestyle endorsements, and media participation. And because all our stakeholders are interconnected, over the 25-year span, they will all start heading towards a more...
comes to obesity, and explain how detrimental obesity really is, not just to themselves or their families, but to their, to the whole world economy and what it's costing. Another key factor is big corporations. Big corporations don't want to go to the smaller communities and buy, small orders of food for their stores. It's very hard and difficult for them to say, hey, we're going to go to this farmer's market and that farmer's market to offer the freshest choices is available. And until this gets realized, or there's a better way to overcome these situations, things aren't going to change. Now, as far as strategy to stimulate Americans and big corporation to overcome what was just discussed, incentives would have to be the big role. Government's going to have to play a big role. It's going to have to start from the bottom to the top. There's going to have to be re-education programs, more so than what's available now, with just the little food charts that they give at the elementary schools. Food choices, there's got to be a lot more healthier food choices. Fast food has to come in and step up and offer more than just a salad or a grilled chicken sandwich, which isn't that healthy if you look at it, and say, hey, these are our healthier choices, come and eat here. Now, for the big corporations, the only way there's ever going to be any incentive for them to not shop at the big retail area and get just whatever's the cheapest for their store to make their store run efficiently. We're going to have to incorporate real costs in all of these that they buy, and offer tax breaks and awards for doing the sustainably responsible thing. For example, if you set a small goal, say 25% to 40% of your food at a restaurant is purchased locally from a local farmer, then we can offer you this much of a tax break. If you go from 40 to say 75, it's this much of a tax break. And if you get all the way to where you're being responsible, you're being very sustainable, above and beyond, then we can give you an even higher tax break. I feel the same thing needs to go with Americans too. In order to get through that mindset and break the barrier, we have to allow people to feel that they're doing it on their own, even though we're pushing them and motivating them to do it. And one way to do that would be healthcare breaks. Say, for instance, healthier people have lower premiums instead of just a standard premium rate across the board, with a tax deductible at the end of the year. If your doctor writes you a report, or you can get a report signed off saying, yeah, this guy is being very healthy, he's living a healthy life, and I think he's being very sustainable to the economy. It all adds up as a big collaboration to where we can all kind of monitor each other without having someone without having the monkey on our back and making us feel like we have to do this. It's more of a motivational thing, and it's money speaks volumes to everybody. Everybody needs money. Everybody wants to have money, and in order to do that, you have to provide people with incentives to step up and do the right thing, because let's face it, people don't do that. Fundamental changes and barriers, the big barriers, like we've said, are the mindset of Americans and the corporations. The fundamental